Why younger women notice older men. Most men think younger women notice older men because of money, status, power, experience. That's what your competitors are selling. They want you to believe attraction is transactional. They want you thinking you need a luxury car, a high-income flex, a visible symbol of dominance. But that's not what actually triggers attention. Here is the truth most men never hear. Younger women, Dante, notice older men because of what they have. They notice them because of what they don't do. They don't chase. They don't flinch. They don't perform. They don't compete. And in a world where young men are loud, reactive, and validation, that difference feels magnetic. Today we're going deeper than surface-level attraction myths. We're talking about presence, nervous system stability, psychological gravity, and why age, when integrated properly, becomes an advantage. Not because you try harder, but because you stop trying at all. 1. Younger men compete. Older men observe. Here's what nobody tells you. Young men enter rooms, trying to prove something. They adjust their posture. They scan for rivals. They calculate who's watching. They speak louder than necessary. It's subtle, but it's there. That restless energy. Younger women feel that instantly, not consciously, but biologically. Now contrast that with a man who walks in without needing to be seen. He doesn't scan for validation. He doesn't seek approval. He doesn't measure himself against anyone. He's not there to compete. He's there to exist, and that calm shifts the room. We touched on something powerful. Emotional gravity. When a man enters calmly and something changes, that's not dominance. That's regulation. Younger women are extremely sensitive to nervous system signals. When a man is grounded, unhurried, emotionally stable, her body relaxes, and attraction begins there. Not in flash, not in flex, in safety. Your competitors teach peak a king. Reality teaches gravity. 2. The calm that feels rare. Here's what younger women deal with constantly. Impulse. Over-texting. Over-talking. Over-sharing. Over-promising. Young men escalate too fast. They push energy forward before trust is built, and that pressure feels exhausting. Now, imagine the opposite. An older man who holds eye contact without intensity, smiles without agenda, speaks slowly. Docent rush moments. Docent fills silence. That stillness feels unfamiliar. An unfamiliar calm creates curiosity because it communicates. I'm not trying to win you. And paradoxically, that's what makes her lean in. One of the key insights was this. Confidence is calm, not loud, not dominant, not aggressive.com. And calm signals something powerful. Experience without desperation. Younger women notice older men because older men, when self-aware, don't operate from urgency. And urgency is the fastest attraction killer. 3. Emotional stability greater than physical youth. This is where the myth breaks. Most men assume youth competes with youth. They think, I'm older. Why would she look at me instead of someone her age? Because youth often comes with volatility, mood swings, identity, confusion, status, insecurity, emotional unpredictability. And while that energy is exciting at first, it doesn't feel safe long-term. Women don't just respond to aesthetics. They respond to emotional environment. If you can, stay steady when she tests. Stay relaxed when she pulls away. Stay composed when she is emotional. Stay grounded when others react. You become psychologically rare, and rarity creates value. This isn't about manipulation. It's about maturity. Age alone does nothing, but integrated age, that's different. When a man has processed his failures, accepted his past, integrated his lessons, he carries himself differently. He doesn't enter rooms trying to be chosen. He enters rooms already settled, and that internal settlement radiates outward. This is why younger women notice older men, not because of status, not because of money, but because presence feels different from performance. And most young men are performing. So if you've ever noticed, younger women holding eye contact slightly longer, adjusting posture when you walk in, becoming softer in tone around you. It may not be what you think. It may not be about looks. It may be about nervous system contrast. In a chaotic dating environment, calm feels like relief, and relief is attractive. 4. The nervous system advantage. Let's get biological for a moment. Attraction is not logical first. It's neurological. Before she thinks about your age. Before she evaluates your job. Before she decides if you're her type, her nervous system scans you. And here's what most men don't understand. A regulated nervous system is attractive. A chaotic one is not. Younger men often live in emotional spikes. High highs, low lows, jealousy, competition, ego sensitivity, reactive texting, emotional volatility masked as passion. It feels exciting at first, but it's unstable. Now contrast that with an older man who has lived enough life to not panic at every shift. He doesn't spiral when she takes longer to reply. He doesn't get threatened by other men immediately. And when a woman senses that you can handle reality, she relaxes. Relaxation opens attraction. Your competitors are selling dominance, but what actually triggers desire is emotional containment. A man who can contain himself can contain chaos, and that feels safe. 5. The illusion about money. Let's dismantle the obvious myth. Yes, resources matter in the world, but younger women noticing older men is not just about money. If it were, every wealthy older man would be magnetic, and that's clearly not true. You've seen it. High-status men who still feel awkward. Wealthy men who still overcome. Men with money who still chase approval. Because money amplifies personality. It doesn't replace it. If a man is insecure at 25, he's insecure at 45. With a nicer watch. What younger women actually notice is how you move, how you speak, how you pause, how you don't rush. In section 1. We talked about calm. Now let's talk about identity. Younger men are still forming theirs. They're trying on personalities. They're proving themselves to peers. They care deeply what other men think. Older men who've done the work. They've shed that. And when you're no longer trying to be impressive, you become impressive. That's the paradox. Your competitors teach display, but attraction responds to alignment. 6. Why emotional leadership feels magnetic. Here's something subtle. Younger women often don't consciously say, I want an older man. They say, I want someone who feels stable. I want someone who doesn't play games. I want someone who's mature. What they're describing isn't age. It's emotional leadership. Emotional leadership doesn't mean control. It means you don't escalate conflict unnecessarily. You don't collapse under pressure. You don't withdraw affection as punishment. You don't chase validation when you feel insecure. You stay consistent. Consistency feels rare. And rarity creates attraction. When she's emotional, you don't mirror chaos. You anchor Italiano. When she's uncertain, you don't panic. You steady the moment. That shift changes the dynamic. It subtly creates polarity. Not forced dominance, but grounded presence. Most young men try to lead through volume. Older men who understand themselves lead through gravity, and gravity pulls. It doesn't push. 7. The mistake that destroys this advantage. Now let's address the dangerous part. Age is not automatically attractive. Insecurity with age is repulsive. The fastest way to lose this advantage is to apologize for it. Trying too hard to look younger. Trying too hard to use slang. Trying too hard to compete with 25-year-olds. That energy screams, I don't accept myself. And if you don't accept yourself, she won't either. Remember this? Youth chases youth, but maturity attracts youth. There's a difference. When you try to be younger, you abandon the very quality that made you noticeable. You don't need to be 25. You need to be settled. When you're comfortable being older, you become psychologically different from the rest of the room. That difference is what creates intrigue. 8. Why younger women feel curious. Curiosity is not always about physical attraction first. Sometimes it's about contrast. Younger men often seek immediate validation, talk more than they listen, compete for dominance, reveal insecurity quickly. Older men who've evolved listen more, speak less, reveal slowly, move intentionally. That contrast creates mystery. And mystery activates imagination. When she can't immediately categorize you, she leans in. Not because you tried to confuse her, but because you're not predictable. You don't overshare your entire story in 10 minutes. You don't rush to secure approval. You let things unfold, and unfolding builds tension. Not sexual tension first. Psychological tension. And psychological tension is what creates deeper attraction. Younger women notice older men because of regulation, presence, identity integration, emotional leadership. Contrast. Not because of age alone, but because age, when processed correctly, produces calm, and calm feels rare. 9. The real psychological reason this dynamic exists. Here's what most people are afraid to say. Attraction is not just about looks. It's about emotional positioning. Younger women are often navigating instability, not just in men, in life, career uncertainty, identity formation, social pressure, emotional intensity, constant comparison through social media. Everything moves fast. Everything feels urgent. Now imagine encountering someone who does not operate in urgency, someone who doesn't panic, doesn't overreact, doesn't oversell himself, doesn't need instant validation. That difference feels grounding. Psychologically, humans are drawn toward stability when they feel chaos, not consciously. Biologically, the nervous system seeks regulation, and when an older man is emotionally regulated, he becomes a stabilizing presence. That's not manipulation. That's polarity. Not age-based superiority. Energy-based contrast. Your competitors are selling status and dominance. But what actually draws attention is inner alignment. A man who knows who he is. A man who is not trying to become someone. That settled identity feels rare in a generation, still forming theirs. 10. Why some older men repel instead of attract? Now, let's be honest. Not every older man is attractive to younger women. Some repel instantly. Why? Because age without integration becomes bitterness. If an older man carries resentment toward women, cynicism, arrogance, insecurity about youth, desperation masked as confidence, it shows immediately. You cannot fake regulation. You cannot fake peace. You cannot fake groundedness. If you are chasing youth to validate your ego, she feels that, and it creates discomfort. The attractive older man is not trying to win against younger men. He's not trying to prove superiority. He's not trying to dominate the room. He's simply at ease in his own timeline. That's the difference. The unattractive older man tries to reclaim lost youth. The attractive older man owns earned maturity. One chases, one rests. And rest is magnetic. 11. The invisible advantage. You're not impressed easily. Here's something subtle but powerful. Younger men are often impressed quickly by beauty, by attention, by sexual energy. They react. Older men who've lived more life. They've seen more. They've experienced more. They don't overreact to surface-level stimuli. That calm non-reaction changes the dynamic instantly. When a woman senses you're not dazzled, she becomes curious, because most men are. You don't treat beauty like a rare event. You treat it like part of reality. That signals abundance mindset, not arrogance. Stability. When you're not easily shaken, you become harder to manipulate. And when you're harder to manipulate, you feel stronger. Not aggressive. Strong. Grounded strong. And grounded strength creates attraction without effort. 12. How to embody this without forcing it. Now here's the important part. You cannot act like this. You cannot perform calm. You cannot fake emotional stability. Women are extremely perceptive to congruence. If your body is calm but your mind is frantic, it leaks. So how do you embody this naturally? You stop chasing. Not just women, validation, comparison, external approval. You build internal steadiness. That means handling rejection without spiraling. Handling attraction without inflating. Handling silence without anxiety. Handling competition without ego. This is inner work, not tactics. The more settled you become internally, the less you need external confirmation. And the less you need confirmation, the more attractive you become, because you stop reaching. And when you stop reaching, others start reaching toward you. That's gravity. 13. The final truth your competitors won't tell you. Your competitors want you anxious. Because anxious men buy solutions. They sell. How to compete with younger guys. How to dominate younger women. How to leverage money, how to hack attraction. But attraction is not hacked, it's embodied. Younger women notice older men when those men have done the psychological work, when they've integrated failure, when they've accepted aging, when they've regulated their nervous system, when they've stopped performing masculinity and started living it quietly. Age doesn't create attraction. Integration does, and integration takes time. That's why this advantage cannot be rushed. It's earned. If you've noticed younger women responding differently to you, holding eye contact longer, softening their tone, becoming more present, it may not be what you think. It may not be about money, or status, or looks. It may be about calm in a chaotic world, and calm is rare. In a generation drowning in noise, silence feels powerful. In a world addicted to urgency, patience feels attractive. In an environment of performance, authenticity feels magnetic. Type this in the comments. If this resonates, I move with calm. And remember, youth competes. Maturity doesn't need to. If you want more psychology like this, not tactics, not gimmicks, not performance, subscribe. Because here, we don't teach you how to chase. We teach you how to become steady enough that chasing becomes unnecessary.